You'd have to leave home. You'd have to leave me. And so would you.
You left your home to come here, and I'd be queen someday. Please make Father say yes.
Sansa.
Please, please. It's the only thing I ever wanted.
Hello, sweet summer children. I'm back with some juice to get you through the long night. We've been talking about dreams, and we're still going to be talking about dreams. I have dream videos in production for you, but today we're going to revisit a series that is really a lot of fun to do, and that's characters that are just misunderstood. So I already did one on Jaime, and I did one on Arya, and I told y'all to tell me who you wanted me to do next, and you said Sansa. A lot of people requested Sansa. I don't know why. Do you hate me? I know I'm gonna get dragged in the comments, but you know what? YOLO. So people think I'm a Sansa hater. And maybe I am. I don't know. I don't think I am. Do I love Sansa? No. Is she my favorite character? She isn't. Do I want her to die? I don't. But I'm here to let y'all know why I don't like her and what I think her character arc actually is, and if she's just maybe just misunderstood by me and most everyone else. But please save any kind of misogyny argument, because that is the argument that is used when you actually have no argument. And at the end of the day, we aren't going to agree on everything. So anyway, I'll tell you why I think the hate Sansa gets is kind of deserved. And in the comments, feel free to correct me if I'm the one that's misunderstood. So Sansa's story begins in Winterfell with her family. She is the perfect lady, the perfect daughter of Eddard Stark and Catelyn Tully. Sansa is a typical bratty child, and yes, I do say child. So in the beginning of the very first book, Sansa is 11 years old. She's an 11-year-old child, and a lot of people love to use Sansa's just a child. Sansa's just a child. You're being too hard on her. Now, this child argument doesn't really excuse her behavior. Joffrey is 11 years old as well. Have we forgiven his actions in a Game of Thrones?
Sir Ilyn, bring me his head.
No, we have not. Well, Joffrey and Sansa were both born in 286 AC. They are both the same age. Arya and Bran are even younger. Arya is 9 and Bran is 7. And also, keep in mind that Daenerys is only 2 years older than Sansa. So let's not use age as an excuse or a reason as to why this character does the things that she does, because it's not because of her age. So Sansa is raised in Winterfell with every comfort that is fit for a princess. In the books, our first true introduction or actual dialogue that comes from Sansa is in an Arya POV, and we see how much like her mother she actually is. She looked at Arya. What did you think of Prince Joff's sister? He's very gallant, don't you think? Jon says he looks like a girl, Arya says. Sansa sighed as she stitched. Poor Jon. He gets jealous because he's a bastard. He's our brother, Arya said, much too loudly. Her voice cut through the afternoon quiet of the tower room. Septa Mordane raised her eyes. She had a bony face, sharp eyes, and a thin, lipless mouth made for frowning. It was frowning now. What are you talking about, children? Our half-brother, Sansa corrected, soft and precise. She smiled for the Septa. Arya and I were remarking on how pleased we were to have the princess with us today, she said. So our very first introduction to Sansa dialogue shows not only that she's kind of arrogant, it's that she doesn't accept Jon just as Catelyn doesn't accept Jon. But also it shows that she has enough cunning to lie to Septa Mordane about what Sansa and Arya were actually talking about. Sansa was also the family tattletale. Jon and Arya had a thing that they did, and it was don't tell Sansa. Have you ever had that sibling where you just can't do anything around them because they always tell? Well, that was Sansa. So now along the King's Road, the king goes hunting with Ned, and Sansa and Arya are supposed to ride in the royal wheelhouse with Myrcella and Cersei. Right off the jump, Arya has already figured Cersei out. Arya don't like the queen. Arya's not going. So Renly and Sir Barristan arrive. Cersei wants to talk with them, so Sansa instead chains up Lady and hangs out with Joffrey for the day. They have a splendid afternoon together until the events happen with the butcher's boy, Arya, Joffrey, and Nymeria.
Stop it!
Arya, stay out of this.
I won't hurt him. Much.
Stop it! Stop it! Both of you! You're spoiling it! You're spoiling everything!
I'll gut you, you little cunt!
So Arya runs away with Nymeria and she's gone for like days. Arya's missing for days. And Sansa, she does know what happened because she tells Ned what really happened. But then she lied to Robert about it and said she didn't remember. This caused her direwolf to be killed in the place of Nymeria. Now, at this point, Sansa knows Joffrey's true colors. She has seen who he is. She mourns the loss of Lady, but in King's Landing, she's a blooming flower. She is overwhelmed with joy at the thought of the tourneys and the splendor of court and all the magic and knights and songs. She loves that shit. She completely alienates Arya. She won't even talk to her. Sansa's whole position is that she blames everything bad that has happened on Arya, but everything that happened could have been prevented if Sansa had just told the truth. Basically, according to Arya, she lied so that Joffrey would like her. But let's say that she lied so she wouldn't have to go against the man that she would eventually marry. Then we give her a pass for that. We give her a pass for that whole situation and hope that she learns her lesson. And we never have to worry about it again. But that's not the case. Sansa doesn't learn from it. She knows Joffrey isn't a good person, but she makes excuses for him. He was too handsome for her to feel any ill feelings towards. At first, she thought she hated him for what they'd done to Lady. But after Sansa had wept her eyes dry, she told herself that it had not been Joffrey's doing, not truly. The queen had done it. She was the one to hate, her and Arya. Nothing bad would have happened except for Arya. She could not hate Joffrey tonight. He was too beautiful to hate. So she has this conflict with herself. She knows he's a bad person, but he's too handsome. He's a prince. He's the crown prince, and he'll be king and she'll be queen. She is told by both the hounds and Baelish that life isn't a song, nor is it a fairy tale. She should have realized this, but she's a slow learner. Sansa doesn't care about any of that. She barely listens to Septa Mordain anymore, and the Septa thinks bringing Sansa to King's Landing has made her just as willful as Arya. Sansa wants to be queen. She can't wait to be queen. Go ahead. Call me all the names you want, Sansa said airily. You won't dare when I'm married to Joffrey. You'll have to bow to me and call me your grace. She shrieked as Arya flung the orange across the table. It caught her in the middle of the forehead with a wet squish and plopped down into her lap. You have juice on your face, your grace, Arya said. It was running down her nose and stinging her eyes. Sansa wiped it away with a napkin. When she saw what the fruit in her lap had done to her beautiful ivory silk dress, she shrieked again. You're horrible, she screamed at her sister. They should have killed you instead of Lady. Does this sound like anyone? Does it sound like anyone? I'm just saying. Sounds a lot like Catelyn Stark. It should have been you, to Jon Snow. So Ned sits both Arya and Sansa down and tells them of his plans to send them back to Winterfell. He tells them it's for their safety. At this time, it's known by everyone that Ned Stark and Jaime Lannister were brawling in the streets. Before Ned can get the girls to safety, Sansa goes to Cersei and tells Cersei what her father is planning. This prompts Cersei to act immediately and causes the wipeout of House Stark in King's Landing. She had to wed Joffrey. They were betrothed. He was promised to her. She had even dreamed about it. It wasn't fair to take him away from her on an account of whatever her father might have done. "How well I know that child," Cersei said, her voice so kind and sweet. "Why else should you have come to me and told me of your father's plan to send you away from us, if not for love?" "It was for love," Sansa said in a rush. "Father wouldn't even give me leave to say farewell." She was the good girl, the obedient girl, but she had felt as wicked as Arya that morning, sneaking away from Septim Ordain, defying her Lord Father. She had never done anything so willful before, and she would never have done it then if she hadn't loved Joffrey as much as she did. He was going to take me back to Winterfell and marry me to some hedge knight, even though it was Joff I wanted. I told him, but he wouldn't listen. The king had been her last hope. The king could command Father to let her stay in King's Landing and marry Prince Joffrey. Sansa knew he could, but the king had always frightened her. He was loud and rough-voiced and drunk as often as not, and he would probably have just sent her back to Lord Eddard, if they even let her see him. So she went to the queen instead and poured out her heart, and Cersei had listened and thanked her sweetly. Only then, Sir Aerys had escorted her to the high room in Maegor's Holdfast and posted guards, and a few hours later, the fighting had begun outside. There is no excuse for this. Nothing excuses this kind of betrayal. She knows her father has been labeled a traitor and imprisoned, and only thing she still cares about is marrying Joffrey. She does ask if her father's been harmed, and she does foolishly think that she can persuade Joffrey to pardon him, but he would never even be in this situation if it wasn't for Sansa. Also, they don't force Sansa to write the letter to Robb either. They don't say, "Write this letter or I'm going to kill you." They ask her to write it. They manipulate her into write it. But Sansa writes the letter to prove that she doesn't have traitor's blood, so she can still wed Joffrey. Of course, she doesn't want her father to die, but he does die, and she really trusted that Joffrey would spare her father. That was so foolish. While she's in King's Landing, she's tormented by Joffrey and basically everyone else. She's the traitor's daughter, but whatever. So it was sad, and she was helpless, but she never managed to escape. She never even tried to escape. She never even tried to overhear court gossip or employ her own spies or anything. She just kind of existed. She couldn't think of anything, any way to escape on her own. She relied on Ser Dantos, a drunken fool, and Peter Baelish, the man who betrayed every one of her family members. So she winds up marrying Tyrion. And she does marry him without any real argument. I mean, I love Tyrion, but being as his family has killed my family, I would have had to been dragged into the sept of Baelor screaming. And then even once she realizes how kind Tyrion is to her, she never tries to tell him, "Hey, take me away from this place. Your nephew's the cunt. Get me out of King's Landing." She never does any of that. She's just there. Most of her other family members, they're out in a war-torn country or beyond the wall, braving harsh conditions, or in Bravos, and Sansa's just in a castle with free reign, given every comfort of a highborn lady. She has handmaidens and she doesn't miss any meals. She has lemon cakes and a honey duck. She's never went hungry or homeless or any of that. Even though she's never went through any of that, she has kind of her own kind of misery. But when Sansa goes to the Vale, she becomes likable again for me in the books. So she's starting to become a conniving. She's manipulates sweet Robin to no end, but the show goes into a different direction. So in the books, Sansa is still in the Vale posing as Littlefinger's bastard daughter, and she is supposed to marry Harry the heir. But in the show, she takes on the fake Arya, Gene Poole storyline. So in the show, she puts all of her trust in Littlefinger. I mean, in the books, she does that too. But in the show, she puts all of her trust in Littlefinger, dumb, and she voluntarily marries Ramsay Bolton. She does not have to. She does not want to. But Littlefinger gives her some speech. She eats it up, and she marries the son of the man who killed her brother. Now, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to downplay what happened to Sansa in Winterfell. That was awful. I couldn't really watch that, her marriage scene. I thought it was terrible. But people that have read the books, they know that this doesn't happen to Sansa. It's likely that some version of this might go down with Harry the Heir, because I don't know. I just hope D&D aren't just people that would just throw in a savage rape, and all of the savagery that went along with it. But anyway, she's pitiful the whole time she's in Winterfell. And I personally genuinely wanted her to win. Like, it's just like you just want her to win. She isn't able to manipulate Ramsay or come with any plans, and she wouldn't have ever escaped if it was not for Theon. So she escapes and she heads to the wall to find Jon. She finds the newly resurrected Jon and she convinces him they need to take back Winterfell. 1 point Sansa. So the whole time Jon is trying to scramble and get men for his army, she's in contact with Littlefinger. And she lied to Jon about how she knew about the Blackfish garrison in Riverrun, and Brienne even questions her about this. So she never tells Jon about Littlefinger, and she never told him that the Knights of the Vale were camped in Moat Cailin, and Littlefinger told her, "I'm here for you." So this action, while it was great to see the Knights of the Vale come in at the last minute and save the day with Sansa sitting there, and you're like, yay, Sansa finally came through. When you actually think about it, had Sansa told Jon about the Knights of the Vale, better plans could have been made and thousands of men would not have been slaughtered on the battlefield. You have an army in the wing, a legendary army of knights. Your brother's going to war against your husband, and you don't think he needs to know about this army that you have? She had zero reason to keep this from him, but she did, and she took all the credit for winning the Battle of the Bastards. Fast forward into season 7, Sansa questioned Jon at every turn. She made the Northern Lords feel comfortable to talk shit about Jon openly to her, his own sister. The Northern Lords were just following her lead. If Sansa had never questioned Jon openly, they would have never felt comfortable to talk shit about Jon in front of her. Then she starts getting really Cersei-like and really hypocritical. Sansa wants to strip innocent children of their ancestral homes because of the sins of their brothers. But she's experienced this. She's experienced this firsthand at the hands of Cersei, and she didn't like it, but she's okay with doing it to other people. Did she pick up some of Cersei's habits? Probably. Sansa she's entitled, she's ambitious and naive. That's just who she is. If you don't think she's ambitious, look at this scene.
The Mad King invited him to King's Landing and roasted him alive.
I know that.
She is here to reclaim the Iron Throne and the Seven Kingdoms. The North is one of those 7 kingdoms. This isn't an invitation, it's a trap.
It could be.
You see how upset she is? Well, then look how she calms down when Jon says she will be Lady of Winterfell while he's gone.
Eris is a queen. Only a king can convince her to help us. It has to be me.
You're abandoning your people. You're abandoning your home.
I'm leaving both in good hands.
Whose?
Yours. You are my sister. You're the only Stark in Winterfell. Until I return, the North is yours.
She comes around really quick, if you ask me. So she's also untrustworthy and untrusting. She was going to kill her sister, for God's sakes. She was going to kill Arya. If Bran had not told her about Littlefinger's misdeeds, she would have spared Littlefinger and killed Arya. And then, once the Three-Eyed Raven told her about everything that Littlefinger did to her mother, her father, how he played her like a fiddle, she still believes that he loves her. And all of these reasons makes me believe that Sansa will not be on board with Jon and Daenerys. I think she's going to do some very questionable things against her family, in season 8, but I ultimately think that she will come back around and she will end her story in redemption, redeeming herself, and she will die. I think she will die a heroic death, and it will be for the better of House Stark. However she dies, it will be for House Stark. But that's my opinion. Now, I just want to say, I do understand why people can relate to Sansa. Besides all of the dumb things that she's done, she does have the most realistic storyline for a woman during this kind of time era, during the medieval times. She's a damsel in distress and she's beautiful. She has a very cliche story, so I get it. But for all the reasons I stated above, I think I understand Sansa and who her character is. And I don't think I have her misunderstood, but maybe I do. Let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone who supports me on Patreon. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please click that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and join the sweet summer family. Okay, my sweet summer children. Have a good day.
Shame.